Hey, darling. All right, so this is a recipe I wish I knew when I was a student. Man, it would have saved me some hungry times. Basically, the no-knead bread that we make in the household. I'm making the normal size, doing the whole wheat white. You can do all white if you want, all whole wheat if you want, any mixture. What I'm doing here is for like basically the family size. You can cut this in half if you're doing it for yourself in university. Just always remember, you want bread today, you had to made it yesterday. So this is what we're gonna have for tomorrow and the days that follow, because it needs at least 24 hours. Let time do all the work. This is a no-knead bread. So for our loaves, we're doing the 7 cups. There's 4 white, 3 whole wheat. There's 3 cups of water. There's the yeast and the salt. The yeast, we need half a teaspoon, and salt 1 teaspoon. So again, if you're gonna half this recipe, 3½ flour, half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon yeast, and 1½ cups of water. And it's just as simple as combining all the ingredients. You've seen me make this many times. So I'm gonna put in the flour. And again, measured in the mason jars. And 3 cups. Yeast. For the 7 cupper, it's going to be half a teaspoon. Remember, if you're doing this and you're halving, it's going to be 1/4. And then salt, I'm going to be putting in 1 teaspoon. And if you're doing the half recipe, obviously the half. And that's basically all the ingredients. Just give it, kind of mix it up a little bit before you put the water. You could use a whisk. It's as simple as pouring it in, giving it a very rough mix, just fairly dry looking. What I'll do is I'll try to take in 6 hours, I'll take a look for you, and then say in the morning, I'll take a look, and then obviously we'll see it before I actually make the bread. And again, it's time that is actually doing all the work. Put in a container, put a lid on, airtight, put it in a cool place. It's a little bit warm today, so I'm gonna be sticking this in the basement. Okay, so it's been about 5 to 6 hours. Just to give you an idea, it looks a bit different than what it did before. And here we're just gonna stir it around a little bit. Any of the dry areas, dry flour, not much, kind of put on the top. And then next time we take a look at this, it's gonna be the morning, okay? So it's the next morning now. Let's see what happened overnight. Look at that. That's what time has done in the yeast. So again, we're gonna stir this around. We do got a little bit of dry flour there that we're gonna break up. But again, it's very rough. So you're gonna go in the bottom, you're just gonna turn it over, put the lid on, and just let time do its thing. Okay, so stick the Dutch oven into the oven, cold oven, then preheat the oven to 500. Keep the Dutch oven in the oven till it reaches 500, and then we're gonna pull it out because we want this Dutch oven to be nice and hot when we put the dough in for the bread. Okay, so as the oven's preheating, we're gonna actually take out the bread. You can see from what it looked like last night to what it is now, and that's just time doing its thing. Now, with it preheating, we're going to just form the dough a bit. We could have done this earlier. Put it under a towel or in between a towel and let it sit. But this is the more simple way, no-knead bread. So I'm just gonna kind of form it, just getting that Dutch oven nice and hot to put this in. And what we could do is we could simply just have this flow out of the container into the Dutch oven. I'm just gonna add a little bit of flour to it. This is totally optional. I do this just so it's a little bit easier to get into the Dutch oven. It rolls right out. And just fold it in. And again, I'm just doing this with a spatula. I'm gonna take it out of the bowl for a moment because I just want this excess flour out here. I don't want that going in, it will just burn. So we'll just throw this right back in. And then we'll just wait and put it in the Dutch oven. One thing to remember though is we need to, when we put it in the Dutch oven, we do need to give some slices with a pair of scissors just so it doesn't explode in the oven. You can have some air venting out of it. So now, oven preheat just ding. This is incredibly hot. One thing to keep in mind, do not touch this with your bare hands. You may forget. Hasn't happened to me, but I do know some that it has. So what I do is I take the lid off, and you want to do this really quick, but I'll put the oven mitt right on top. You're going to put a little bit, and you want to be quick about this, you want to put some cornmeal in here. And then you just want to roll what we had. It absorbed that flour that we actually just put in. We're just going to roll this right into that pot. And we're trying to, again, we're trying to do this as quick as we can. I'm just going to give it 3 slices. 1, 2, 3. Good enough. Get that lid back on. And then basically we're putting this straight into the oven. It's going to go in the oven 30 minutes, lid on. After the 30 minutes up, take the lid off, cook it for another 20 minutes, then you're completely done, then you're going to put it on a rack. Alright, so there's 30 minutes. All we simply do, take the lid off, close it back up, another 20 minutes. Alright, so that's 20 minutes with the lid off. Just take it out of the pot. Put it on a cooling rack and just listen to the crust. That's a beautiful crust right there. So just let that rest.